Hi, my name's Louise Clark, and today I want to try and cover no speak programming and how to break it. And someone say, "Oh, you can't break programming because programming you have to remember the trauma and heal that trauma, and then that will enable the breaking of." And that is true, but also I found that there's other ways to go around it if one can't get near the memories because they're blocked, and that's the way programming works. Now, first of all, what I wanted to say was that there is like common programming that is in all the world as well, is in the matrix that we're all in. So you've got things to tell you to shut up. You've got laws and silencing and things like that. You have the culture, and I mean culture. Cult is, yes, what's running everything is the cult, but really satanic cults. And then chur. Well, I looked up the URE today, and it says denoting action, process, result. So we've got the cult and we've got the and they're getting their results. So, I mean, yes, we have got it in normal society. So you do have people making videos who talk about programming as if it's just some little, thing, and they might do a little bit of hypnosis on that, but it's not. It's a lot more than that. But there is a programming that goes on with the general public, whether they're under MK Ultra or satanic ritual abuse. It doesn't matter, because you've still got these things reinforcing in society, telling you how to think, what way to think, and that's all coming fed from the Tavistock, who funded by the Rockefellers. So they push out how one should think, what one should say, what one shouldn't say, what would be laughed at, what would be ignored. So I want to look at that, but I also don't want to just be like, oh yes, if we just take on that, because it's not. It's more than that. You've got programming that is done, and to do programming, the mind control, the MK Ultra programming, the government trauma-based mind control programming, the satanic ritual abuse mind control programming, they'll use those things. So like you've got the shush over the mouth, and yes, it means that to a little child you do that, and they understand what it means. But when it comes to trauma-based mind control, you're talking about that child was tortured, and they would have used that sign-in to associate with that torture, and the child was tortured beyond wanting to ever remember what the torture was, and therefore when they see that sign inside the altars that are locked away, they see that signal, they know it says shut your mouth and don't say a word. So therefore these things matter. It's like Miffy, and Miffy's got a little crisscross across. She's been stitched up. She can't speak. She needs to speak. So when you start looking at the programming, even children's things, and you might go, oh yeah, see, look, they got no mouths, and like brats have got no nose. I don't quite understand that, but it's like, and you might know, yes, it's program, but there's trauma going on with them children elsewhere, in the backs of nurseries, wherever. And not every child, but it's happening on a large scale, larger than people realise. And so these signals, these signs that are in the normal culture that shut people up anyway, they're used to associate with a trauma, and then they will work forevermore as long as they're not remembered. And and then the memory, yes, is so traumatic that they don't remember. They're split off into separate alters, which, yes, I know I've sort of jumped in at the deep end, because really I should be explaining mind control a lot more, but well, it seems that we're running out of time of free speech, so I thought I'd better tackle the most important one, which is no speak programming. So that's what I'm tackling today. So I've sort of come in at the deep end, but who knows, because we don't know how much longer we've got freedom of speech for, and I don't get really viewed that much anyway, and I don't think it's because I don't say anything very interesting. I think it's all controlled, and if they want you to hear someone, then they will spin it, and you will hear them. And if they don't want you to hear someone, then you won't hear it, and they control the hits, and they just control the news feeds and all that. Anyway, That's part of the no speak. That's part of the silencing. I mean, you know, I put these videos up and it looks like no one watches, and then you think, well, why bother? But I continue on because I don't see anyone else speaking on what I speak of. So it's like, well, if I don't speak, then it won't be heard by anyone. So I better speak while I can. So yes, I've covered the common. So you have all the shush and shut up and all them things matter. And you know, children are raised that way. So then, when it comes to the mind control programming, then you're talking about torture goes with it. And it can be horrific. I don't really want to go into the horrific, but it'll be things like they'll kill your friend in front of you as a child, or your favourite animal, and do the signal, and you know, you don't remember where that friend went. Anyway, I use Bible to have some guidance because, yes, I don't want to lead everyone down the wrong path. Really, I'm just trying to say what I know and do my best and do God's will, really. So I found some verses in the Bible that pertain to speaking. So one is, I found is, speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. Proverbs 31:9. So yes, I will try and defend the rights of the poor and needy by speaking up. And it's not just for me to stand up and speak up, but when one stands up, they all stand up. That's what they say in the Ants film, isn't it? So to break no speak, well, I've broken it down because this is a massive topic, but I'm going to try and cover it. To break no speak, you've got involved is speaking, also music, because music has songs attached to it, and music is vibration, and speech is about vibration, and the world was created with words of vibration. So singing and music and the words to the song, and that all matter, which is why I feel that, you know, we've got all these ASBOs coming in now if you play your music too loud. And when I used to live with a singer, a professional singer, and everything in the gang stalking level was done to try and stop her from singing, sending the environmental health round, going to take away her equipment. That was a bit difficult because she was singing, so they couldn't really take away. But yes, they would do everything to try and stop. And a lot of MCs that I find, mind control people that I come across, yes, they're singers, which I don't know if they're being sent to me because they're singers, or whether, you know, whatever's causing that. But what I'm seeing is a lot of them were professional singers, and then they're like squashed, so they're not to sing. I mean, you've got lots of singers out there, they're controlling the music industry and controlling, they've all got shush and writing on their hands and all this rubbish to shut people up. But yes, a lot are like being silenced, as if don't want them to utilise their singing abilities, their power in their voice, and the vibrations maybe that they can create, but they may use them elsewhere for singing. That's not saying they don't. Poetry, I mean poetry, writing of any type, because it's getting the words out, whether they're spoken, whether they're written. Poetry's a way I find I do quite a bit of poetry, because it's a way of releasing emotions in a contained way, because I make it rhyme and so forth, so it feels more controllable. Also laughter, and they got, oh, laugh out loud, which I understand is Light of Lucifer really, but they're having their joke, aren't they? So laugh out loud, but people don't laugh out loud, and I know I didn't till I did a lot of work to be able to laugh out loud, because no, people right, again covering their mouth. And so yes, writing, reading, because again you're bringing in words that are spoken, but I mean it's about making sure what goes in and what goes out is of importance to your life. You don't want it for the sake of it. And then yes, I suppose prayer is the ultimate one, because take it to the Lord in prayer. Words of vibrations, we can either pray, and by taking it to the Lord we ask for what we want, and he will provide, and we can put our faith in him, or we can, you know, they'll do their spells and curses, all with words, all about speaking. So it's very important for them to control what we speak about, what we sing about, what we pray about, and what we laugh about. So that's all sort of monitored and controlled. So to break it is no big task, no easy task, because everywhere around is to reinforce the way they want things to be. Another verse I found in the Bible is, shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth, burst into jubilant song with music. Psalm 98.4, verse 4. And again, you know, that's to say, yes, music and song, and shout for joy. Not whisper for joy. Not say it in your head. I mean, they'll have you praying in your head and all that. No, speak out when you're praying. You don't have to, you know, it says something in the Bible, don't ramble loads of words, that won't make no difference. But it's about, you know, speak, make it heard. Yes, because that's the vibration again. So take it to the Lord in prayer. And I've put words of vibrations and spells and curses. I have notes here because also, I mean, I remember once someone wrote oh, she's reading. It's like, yes, you try and memorise all this. So again, another verse I found was, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time to keep silent, and a time to speak. 3:7.7 Ecclesiastes. And yes, it is, you know, sometimes it's better to be quiet and sometimes it's better to speak. Funny enough, I remembered a song from 1963, I think it was, The Byrds, Turn, Turn, Turn. And it's got all the, oh, for the season, turn, turn. But when I listen to it, it seems to have all the words from that chapter in the Bible. But when it comes to the time to keep silent and the time to speak, no, that verse bit is missing, ironically enough. So I just point that out. So yes, silencing, a lot of silencing's going on. And so you have to be aware of what's going on to know how you're going to fight against it. You've got to know what you're up against. So I'm just trying to bring to your awareness now all the factors involved, so then we can look at how we go against it. So silencing publicly, they brought in no smoking laws in pubs and clubs and bingo halls, which were all the social venues that people could use to interact, network, make friends. Now, because of the no smoking laws, everyone stopped going to these places. They're closing down, the pubs are closing down, the clubs are closing down, the bingo's closing down, and people are being pushed back into their home, cheap beer, cheap cider, and then they can talk online to someone in Timbuktu or Never Never Land, and therefore when the electric goes down, if the electric goes down, but it may well go down, we may have a few troubles ahead, and if it does, or like I will get to, there'll be some control over the internet on who we speak to and what we speak about, then we won't know our neighbour, we won't know the people in the neighbourhood, and we're losing fast those social skills of saying hello, good morning, because if you do that they think you're nuts in most, like I'm in London, yes, you can't go around hello, good morning. You can in the countryside, but gradually, you know, it becomes like it's another culture being reinforced of, no, you don't, you've got to look hard and say nothing. That's sort of how it is for the youth today. So, and they probably got their role models from their pop stars. Anyway, so the no smoking law created no speak, no networking, and lacking. People will start to lose their social skills on how to start a conversation. They ended up now, yes, it was great. They could all go on Facebook and meet like-minded people who talk about the same things as them. Except now they've all started to not speak, is what I see. I mean, I've been on Facebook for a few years and it used to be everyone rambling away at all the different topics, and now I don't see that. I see a few people posting, liking, that's no speak, you see. No comments, no one's commenting, no one's dialoguing, no one dare say they've got an opinion. Do you know what I mean? The few that post similar opinion, that it seems that they're being spun to spin those opinion. Things I'm posting at the moment, no one can see here, no, they can't see you, Lou, shut up. So I don't see people saying what I'm saying at the moment, but yes. Yes, they want you connected into the matrix. They want you to use phones, and then even with phones, they've got you not speaking on the phone. They've got everyone texting because whatever they give. There's a power in only texting, isn't there? Because then you can control the timing, and there's no emotions shown, and there's all different elements to the texting. But you see, they'll get, oh yeah, have 1,000 free for your £10 a week. But then it's breaking down that you don't speak, and then you're left with your own mind of paranoia of, oh, they're not talking to me, no, they haven't spoken to me, or what that means. All in the mind, and not communicating, not socialising, not being vocal, not speaking, and therefore not sharing your information with each other. So you're just being fed what they want you to be fed. And I mean, in schools they're feeding what you... So you're already being groomed for that. And then it's like, I'm even seeing like posts, like I go and send letters and post. And the post is so expensive now compared to what it was, because I see as, no, they don't want people to write letters, because that's outside, that it's quite hard to monitor, it's quite hard to see what you've written. And even though you're going, oh, happy Christmas in a card, they don't know what you've written. And they don't like that, because as long as you're using texts, phones, internet, then they can monitor everything. And they've got a history of it, and they can access it 10 years down the line. And it's all collected in the beast, CERN's beast. So, yes. And then I see now, when I sort of don't want to queue to say buy a stamp, then you've got these little machines in the post office now where you can post your things through that. But now, this week I noticed it's asking for the postcode of where you're sending it. So there's not even privacy in where you're sending your post. You know, they blame it on Islam or something. It's like, you know, they'll justify it. You know, it's like now they're going to justify so much on the back of that American election. So, and then, yes, noise pollution, which I said, and they'll give you ASBOs if you play music too loud or sing too loud or whatever, if they can. So, yes. I see as well, if we do start speaking up, it says in the Bible, then the eyes of the blind shall be open, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Isaiah 35.5. And yes, this is down to the three monkeys, which is used in programming a lot, is see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. So if we break the no speak no evil, we might help to break the ears and the eyes programming, which I suppose I'll have to do at some point, but for now I'm just doing the no speak. So yes, so how do we're breaking the silence in programming. Now, if you're just an ordinary bod with no programming, which probably most of you think you are, but are going to find out you're not, because so much now I see that they're making it like, all the stars, celebs, Kanye West I think it is this week, they're breaking down, their programming is breaking down. No, programming, yes, it is governmental done, but it's like it's a generational thing, very much so. So it's gone on for centuries. So, and it's not, oh, that member, it's not like, oh, Kanye got programmed because he grew up as a member of a satanic cult, which he may or may not be aware of. His whole family did. His mother, his father, his sisters, his brothers, the whole people are in the same package. And then you get people sort of like, oh yeah, they got programmed later to when they started singing. Oh, now they're singing, they're going to get programmed. No, they were programmed before. They were programmed from birth. But we'll go to programming. I do need to cover it, I see that, because there's so much twaddle being put out there. So breaking the silence in programming. So what I want to say is, if you're just a normal chap and don't have programming as such that's any trauma, hidden stuff, then it'll be quite easy because you'll just speak your truth. But if you find there's a resistance, if you find like that you can talk till the cows come home about this, but you can't talk about that, or you, well, to see where your programming lies, because basically if you haven't undone your programming, then you're functioning as they choose, and then you have, you know, a load of whistleblowers and truthers say, oh, no one's programming me, I say what I like. No, you're not, because you wouldn't have a voice, else you'd be silenced. No, you're programmed whether you like it or not, and you're saying what they want said, and when you say what they don't want said, you won't be heard. Like, oh, I don't get heard because I think I do say a little bit of what they don't want said. So when you have to look at what can I speak freely of and get and I don't have a resistance in myself, and what can't I do? Do I take forever to make a phone call? I know I do. Do you know what I mean? So that you don't speak to the people. Do you take forever to write a letter? Do you take what is there a resistance in your life to? And them areas are where the programming is to stop you, to going against what they've programmed you to do. Normally they program most people to stay in their house, not go out and socialise. Some are programmed to go everywhere. I can go all over the country, but still they like me to stay in, so I've got my legs go, they're rubbish, and that's all programming that needs to be undone. So, I don't know, this is very hard to explain, but I'm trying. Okay, so the resistance in you would be an indicator that there's an alter stop. If you're programmed, there's an alter stopping you. So, like I'll have, you'll have alters. We have what are called gatekeepers that are there to make sure they're alters that have been created because, anyway, we won't go there, but they're alters that have been created to keep you on path of where the person who's controlling you, handling you, wants you to go. So those alters will stop you from making a phone call if you want to make the phone call, and you just think, I didn't make it, later. That's the gatekeeper in you going, later, don't need to do it now, don't do it now, Lou, no, they won't be in yet, no, try it later, have another cup of tea. So they're always in programming, there's a gatekeeper to stop you doing what is not required of you and to motivate you to do the things that you are required to do. And this is, the programming is done, Tavistock is behind it. They're also creating labels. They're creating all the labels like, it's not mind control, no, it's DID. So apparently, because I know my programming, so apparently in their medical term, I would be DID, except that's dissociative identity disorder. I've got no disorder, right? I used to be MPD, multiple personality disorder. I have no disorder. Now there's no disorder because they didn't create me to have a disorder. Some people have a disorder and then they can say, you see, look, there's the DIDs, but they design them to have disorders so that they can create labels. Basically we're going to change into a whole new paradigm shift, and that's why I feel compelled to do this now, because I feel we haven't got much longer. Because now, before they'd be like, no, there's no such thing as all this, no. Where now they're sort of going, no, there is, but now we're going to tell you how to treat it, how to diagnose it, how to identify it. And there's not going to be any Masons in that equation. There's not going to be any satanic ritual abuse in it. It might be some pocket one somewhere if they can't sort of cover it. And there's definitely not going to be no government-based mind control like MK Ultra. That stopped, didn't it? Like just after the war. That's how they'd run it. It's not going on now. There's no programming going on now. No. But of course there is. So they've created these terms. They create terms like that. They create terms like autism, ADHD, dyslexia. See, so I grew up in school and I was claimed they didn't diagnose me as dyslexic. They just saw that I couldn't read and write. And years later I recognised, that's dyslexia. But then I went and got a degree in psychology, so I can read and write, and I didn't do mitigating circumstances because I wanted to be judged equally. But the thing is, what I have learned is that's programming. And my mum sort of was aware, because I'd have spelling tests and I'd go home from school with a list of words I got to learn to spell, and then she'd test me on the spelling and I'd be fine. And then I'd go to school and I'd get them all wrong, and she'd say, I don't know, that doesn't make sense. You come home and you spell them perfect, and when you get to school you get it all wrong. Yes, because they were switching the alters, because I had to be this naughty, out of control. It wasn't hard for me to do, but I was programmed to be a naughty, out of control child so that I would be able to be referred to a psychiatrist, because I was so out of control, although I obviously was in control. And so I had to have a psychiatrist to try and get me to be good. you see, and that gave them access to me to program me even more and just blame it on me and my family. And then, yes, so I was dyslexic, they said, but you see, yes, sometimes I'm dyslexic and sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I can spell, because it depends, doesn't it, on what author is brought forward and whether they wanted me to have an education, which they didn't, because they were busy elsewhere with me. So it was a good excuse, because then I would be very naughty, disrupt the class, they send me out of class, headmistress to come along, what are you doing here, Louise Clark, come to my office, and the rest I don't remember. So that's how that works. Now, so we have authors that can write, authors that can't write, authors that can read, authors that can't read, authors that can speak, authors that can't speak. I've got authors that can't see, can't, and so it's very hard for them to share, and then they're punished to show, if you do speak, if you do say what you remember, then there'll be a punishment, and so that all has to be undone. But as I say, I'm trying to show you a way that I found, because yes, sometimes it's very hard to undo when they're programmed to not see, not hear, not speak, you know, and other things. Now, meanwhile, what I learnt was, because when I was sort of trying to deprogram all this, it was like, right, I'll have silence, I'll have no noise, I'll have no music, nothing influencing me. So I went for a stage restraint, like if I just cut out all of it, what happens? Because yes, that's to do with not hearing, because one has to be in silence as well. One has to be, so many people can't bear silence, got to have a noise, got to have a, and so it's about, one has to learn to get all balance in life, and so silence is important, and you need to be able to take control of what you say, and so you have to go down to the level of just silence. And then you've got the Ministry of Truths coming, you see, because last year Trump said, yeah, he was going to shut down the internet, and then they sort of, that's not really said no more on the net, but it's still true. And a few weeks ago Gambia had an election, and they shut down the internet and the phone calls in and out of the country, so no one could speak, so they can do it. And then a few weeks ago, there were, well, I think it was in June, there was a commission in America to have a Ministry of Truth, and they would decide what is true and what is not, and then what isn't true. Well, the thing is, you see, that went through, and then we just had the election, and then they're coming with, oh, fake news, yeah, because they spread all fake news on Hillary, and because they spread fake news, well, we've got to control that fake news. And so now, last week, I think George Soros agreed to fund Facebook. Well, it's not Facebook, it's some organisation in America that are going to monitor Facebook, and they're going to label it if it's fake news, and then it won't appear in the news feeds. They'll put it down the bottom, just like my work. And then also Google are funding the same sort of thing, with the fake news, and basically we haven't got long, because he's coming in on the 21st of January. That's why I feel urgent to write, to speak this before we can't, because I suppose I'm talking fake news, I don't know, but it's like, how will they decide? I hear already that they're starting to close sites down that they consider are spreading fake news. I don't know what them sites are pertaining to, I need to find out, but I've been busy sort of compiling my ideas for this, so I'll get to that. So this is another one in the Bible. Set a guard over my mouth, Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Psalms 141.3. And yes, keep watch over the doors of my lips, because they're portals. I did a video, I think it was last week, on the occult, and another one I did before, but how to deal with the occult and about portals. And yes, your mouth is a portal. I mean, there's many portals through your body, but the mouth is a big portal, and if we can't control what comes out of our mouth, we're in trouble, because then it also says in Matthew 15.18, but those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. And they do, don't they? Because so many people say things and then after, oh, I wish I'd never said that. I'll probably listen to this after and be like, I shouldn't have said that. But I'm trying to, so yes, I ask that the Lord guard my mouth with this video and keeps watch over the door of my lips. Yes, so we have to look at breaking down. Now, did I? Yes, I did. I said that you need to look at where that you're silenced, and where you're silenced, where you find a resistance, is where you have to push against. So it's about observing, seeing what you can speak easily. Can you laugh easily? Can you cry easily? Can you sing easily? Can you you know, anything to do with speaking, really. I had the list there. Can you write easily? You know, some people are like, oh no, they can't, they've got so much things that they want to say, but they can't make videos. They can't. Why? It's programming. So you have to push against it. I don't sit here and it'll come easy. Yeah, I'm not saying, but I know I have to push really, really hard. And some things are harder than others, but when there is a resistance, that's when you have to push against it. So if you want that way to deprogram, to break silencing, you have to, basically, you have to push against it. And it's like wading through mud to push against programming. But, I mean, ideally, yes, try and remember the programming, but if you can't get access to those altars because there's a blockage, then is about pushing against and resisting, and maybe even resisting what is required of you. It depends. I mean, we're all individuals, but well, I hope I've given a little bit more understanding of what no speak programming is and ways to break it. It's not. It's like these things are not easy to explain and not easy to break. But yes, your focus of attention I've written here. We use, so there's another, this is 2 Corinthians 10:4, and it says, we use God's mighty weapons, not worldly weapons, to knock down the strongholds of human reasoning and to destroy false arguments. And yeah, I like that. Because if we don't speak out, then false arguments are being built up all around us, all twaddle. And if people are not getting heard that are speaking other than those false arguments, then that's what the world's going to know. So yes, we're going to use God's mighty weapon to break down those arguments. And I hope I've covered. I feel like I've lacked, but I've done the best that I could do. I don't see any other sheets of paper missing. So yes, speak up, start writing comments, comment here. If you're on Facebook or social sites, write. Don't, it's like, I see the newsfeed goes by and it's just like, not to me, but to everyone. So it's like, it's nothing to do with just me. It's about, people aren't speaking now. They've managed to shut everyone up, that they're just watching and listening and whatever. But they're not speaking, they're texting, they're not speaking. You need to use the vocal cords. And even if you just hum or sing, I mean, I make videos singing. I make audio, singing on SoundCloud, and I didn't used to sing before, and they don't get very many views. But it's not about whether I can sing or not. It's about making those noises to break through, to release it. Because what happens is, if you keep pushing against it and you keep singing and singing, or writing and writing, or speaking and speaking, eventually it somehow breaks down. I mean, and as well, you start seeing the resistance, and then you may not be able to access them altars that are not allowed to speak. But if you keep speaking, they get dragged forward by default, and then you do get to become aware of them, and then you have got more chance of working with them. So it's like this way is not the way that others would say, but it's a way. and it's to push against the resistance. Keep pushing. Speak every day. If you've got problems making phone calls that you find you don't actually make them, make phone calls every day. Make it a rule to make it every day. And if you don't make them then on a day, then you say, why didn't I make it today? Let me look at that. Let me analyze. Do you know what I mean? It's about becoming self-aware of how you're speaking, where you're speaking and where you're not speaking, laughing where you're not laughing, where you like. So these are the things. So it's about becoming aware of yourself. So I hope you gained something from this video, and until I make another one, let's say goodbye. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.